Years of research, what we've learned is there is a new question you have to ask. It's a new segmentation. So in many companies, you have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of consumers. And you cannot have a relationship, to go back to this model, to go to the left side, that's what we're talking about first. I cannot have a relationship with all of them. You don't have enough resources to go do that. Human, financial, whatever. So you must choose who you're going to have a relationship. And how do we choose who that is? Well, from all of the research we've done, is we have figured out that there's a critical 2%. That you need 2%, a relationship with 2% of your target market's base in order to influence the total target market. Let me say that again. If I'm going to influence 100%, I can influence 100% by having a significant relationship with 2%. And this has been studied in many, many different sciences. From virology, the study of how diseases spread, to social network analysis, population dynamics, and one of my favorite days I've had in my career is I brought in the world's leading expert on forest fires into P&G. And he sat down and looked and said, I don't know a thing about soap or Pampers. And I went, no, that's not what we want to learn about. We want to learn about forest fires, because what's a forest fire? It's the ignition of an idea that spreads to a larger society. And guess what it proved? The critical mass necessary to light a forest fire was 2%. So this is something we did at P&G a lot. We'd go to the physical sciences to see if we could apply it to the social sciences. And this 2% number holds true. So the challenge for you is find your 2%. Who's the 2% that's going to influence the 100%? By the way, the logic of this, all of us are one social network away from a super connector. So a super connector is, most of us connect statistically with between 9 and 11 people. There's a bunch of psychology about it. We have 9 to 11 people that we have really close relationships with. And then there are people who are super connectors that connect with hundreds of people. That's just their personality. And we're all one social network away. So the idea of the 2% is the 2% gives you enough access points in where if the messaging is right, it connects to a super connector, and then the message spreads throughout the larger society. That's how germs spread. That's how it works in virology too. So where do we find the 2%? We know that you find your 2% in one of 6 categories, and they're not mutually exclusive, so you can find your 2% in many of them. The first is aspirational endorser. Think of this as celebrity. Now, I don't know all of your businesses. I know in the kind of businesses that I ran, aspirational endorsers had little influence. If Britney Spears said she loved Pantene shampoo, it didn't tend to drive a lot of sales. But in some categories, it's really important. In health, in beauty and entertainment, it's a massive influence. So you have to know your category here. But aspirational endorsers is one place to go look. The second is Credentialed Expert. This is somebody who's carrying a badge that says, I know what I'm talking about, and you should pay attention to me. You see this a lot in consumer electronics. You see this a lot in automotive. I would argue ExpertVoice plays in this space a lot. They don't actually talk about it that way, but I would argue that this is how ExpertVoice is successful in the marketplace. Current clients, current customers. Psychologists teach us that the number one moment of advocacy is when you first try a brand, when you try it for the first time. You are psychologically predisposed to want to go talk about it. And so you look at a brand and say, so tell me what you're doing to help your consumer talk about the brand when they just tried it for the first time. And most brands give you this blank stare. I've never thought about it. So current customers are a fantastic place to get access to your 2%. Quick sidelight story I'll tell you about. Unfortunately, I didn't bring it with me, but I bought an Audi And anybody who's bought a new car, Subaru, Audi, we all love to talk about our new cars because you just spent a lot of money. And so we want to tell our friends about that because we want to be, it's called cognitive dissonance, is the psychological term for it. We're trying to reassure ourselves that we have made a smart decision, and we do that by talking about it. But all of our friends get tired of hearing about our new car after about a week. So the Audi people were brilliant. 3 months after, they send me this book saying, hope you're enjoying the car. Here's some things you might not know. And it's things like the color black on your car is actually 7 different colors of black. Or the way we get the certain shine in the car is buffed with ostrich feathers. What Audi's done is given me a new reason to talk about my car. I can assure you all of my golfing buddies heard about ostrich feathers. It's a brilliant move by Audi to say, I'm using my current customer base to go create access to the 2%. Mavens are another area. Mavens are people who have really deep category expertise, but not much social breadth. So think of video gamers, right? They have really deep expertise in the category of social, but they have 4 friends. That's really stereotyping. But they're all in a basement. The opposite of this is connectors. Connectors are people who have extremely broad social networks and very little specific category expertise. We all know these people. They talk about everything. Each one of them are a different reason to access the 2%. They exist in there. And the final area is communities. And this is the most fertile playground in marketing today. And when I say communities, I don't mean physical communities, I mean digital communities. They're communities where your brand is being talked about today and being advocated for, and you don't know about it. And you don't know about it at all. The community of soccer moms, the conversations that go on at the field when their kids are playing soccer is amazing, the subject matter that goes on. And so we learned from a whole bunch of research. It's everything from financial services to education to shampoo to outdoor recreations to vacations. Who here's a soccer mom? Who has kids that, am I lying here? I mean, it is an amazing community where your brand's being talked about. So the responsibility for you to go search for your 2% is to identify those communities where your brands are being talked about. And they're not, and don't just go to the logical ones. So if I'm in fly fishing, there are fly fishing communities, right? That's easy to think about. But there are other communities where your brand's being talked about and you don't know about it yet. And so if you do that, that's how you go find this critical 2%.